All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this month's forecasting forum. All right. So how many of you are familiar with the term Mercury Retrograde? And if you're watching this as a recording, feel free to raise your arm at home or write on a piece of paper, yes, me, or whatever it is. Thanks, Karen. Hi. Okay, very good. So some of you know what it is. I think most of us are familiar with the term Mercury retrograde, right? But I will of course talk about this in more detail today. Now, how many of you understand what the shadow phase is all about? So the shadow phase that comes prior and after the Mercury retrograde. Anybody knows what that is? Deb does. Excellent. Good for you, Deb. Yeah, you're a student of mine. Karen does too. Okay, wonderful. Diana does. Okay, excellent. So some of you know, you've been reading my weekly forecasts over the years and you know what that shadow phase is all about, right? Because you all have been paying attention, so that's good. All right, then how many of you know what happens during the Mercury station phase? Anybody knows what the Mercury station phase is all about? That happens right around when the Mercury retrograde phase starts. Okay, Karen knows. Very good. Diana, stronger energy. Yes, very good. Tatya knows. It gets stronger. Yeah, correct. Oh, right. You guys are good. We don't even need to do this today. You guys already know. All right. But of course, we want to talk a little bit more about all these things in terms of how it's going to impact our own charts this time around, right? With this particular Mercury retrograde phase, with this particular shadow phase, and with this particular station phase. All right, so stay tuned. Let me just say this. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thanks so much if you're watching this as a recording, for taking the time to be with me for the next 90 minutes or maybe a tiny bit more than that. We'll see how it goes. And let me just say a little bit about me for those of you who are completely new to my forums. I am originally from Austria, from Vienna, from Europe, and I've lived in the United States since 1994, so I've been here for quite a while. And so my English is pretty good, as you can hear, but once in a while I will have funny expressions, or I will pronounce things in a funny way. So please forgive that, and I will always do my best to be as accurate with my language as I can be. But of course, with Mercury being in Pisces, there might be some challenges with that today. So we'll see how it goes. All right. So that's a little bit about me. I've been doing astrology for a very, very long time, since the early 90s. And I've been a professional astrologer since 2010. And I'm still studying, I'm still learning, I'm still going to my astrology conferences. I love astrology. I live and breathe it, but I also want to say that I don't get obsessive with it. So I'm not one of those people who sits with their own chart every single day and looks, how are the transits and how is this affecting me, and I'm not obsessive like that, because I do trust that that life and energy is flowing as it needs to, and that I'm actually already in tune with the energies, that astrology is just kind of like my way of making it maybe a little bit more conscious to my mind, because my mind sometimes lags behind. But feeling-wise, I think that I'm in tune with the energies as they are. All right, so that's enough about me. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to cover today. So the first retrograde phase of the year, which will be in Pisces, starts on March 5th and will last until March 28th. The shadow phase that comes before the Mercury retrograde phase, so the first shadow phase, will be from February 19th, that was yesterday, until March 5th, when the retrograde phase begins. And then the station phase, which we'll talk about, will be from February 28th until March 9th. So right around the time when the retrograde phase begins, right before and right after, that's when the planet is most intense, because it's moving the slowest, or it's not moving at all. And so therefore the energy gets exalted, right? Like most of you have already said correctly. So that's awesome. All right. So the questions we want to answer here with what we're doing today is, what does all of this mean for our connection to the divine? And of course, we want to talk about the divine because Mercury is in Pisces, which is the most spiritual, most creative, and most intuitive sign of them all, right? So what does that mean in terms of connection to the divine? And then also, can we drop more into our intuitive approach with others and ourselves? So when we're connecting, when we're communicating, can there be more of a trusting, more of an intuitive approach? Can there be sort of like a more sensing and feeling that we're experiencing? And this is, not just when we're connecting with other people, but also in terms of our own inner dialogue, in terms of our own inner communication with ourselves, right? Because Mercury is not just what we say to others, it's also what goes on internally. All right, so as always, of course, I will not be able to pull up somebody's chart because that will take up too much time. However, if I already have your chart because you're already a client or because you've sent me your chart already, I have it right here in front of me, and I will be able to take a look at it in case there are questions that come up. And if I don't have your chart in front of me for some reason, hopefully not because I forgot, but of course that's a possibility too. But if I don't have your chart in front of me right now, then please just give me, let me know what in your chart, you want answered in terms of like degrees and signs and houses and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll do our best to make this work with each other. I will try to focus questions around what we're covering today, only because that's going to be most helpful to everybody who's watching. All right. So let's move to our next page here. If I can find the next page. For some reason, always that next page is difficult every single time, right? But I found it. Okay, here we go. So, okay, somebody's telling me that they don't have a sound. Okay, that's not so good. I'm sorry to hear that. Sound is okay again? Okay, good. Okay, happy to hear that sound is okay. Okay, so for those of you who can't hear me, hold on, let me just quickly open up this to make that a little bit bigger. Let me just put a note into the chat window real quick. If you can't hear me, call the phone number or sign out and sign back in again. Okay. Hopefully that's going to help. All right. Okay, so Julianne said now it's okay on her end. Fantastic. Okay, we're all on the same page. We can all hear each other. That's wonderful. I love that. Okay, good. All right, so this page here is something that you also have in your email, and I want to invite you to print that out. And actually, I discovered that there were still some typos that I made last minute, but after I had already sent out the email. So I will attach this. I will attach this document when I send out the recording of the webinar. So feel free to print it out once I send out the recording, and then you'll have then there won't be any typos anymore. But yeah, so hopefully everything is accurate as it is. So one of the things that we're talking about, of course, is the Mercury Shadow phase here, which did start on the 19th and not the 20th. So that was one of the typos that I saw. Then the station phase here, we'll talk about that, right? And then we'll also talk about the Mercury Retrograde phase. And here you have the degrees, when it starts, when it ends, the degrees in which it starts, the degrees in which it ends. So this can be really helpful. This sheet is just a very general sheet that can be helpful in terms of like dates and degrees and signs, so we know where something's happening. And if you need more details on whatever all of this means, of course, my weekly forecasts are the best place to go for that. Okay, if you're a member, you already have access to that, and if you're not yet a member, then I would invite you to become a member. so you have access to the weekly forecast. All right. So, okay. So let's get started. Let's take a look at our charts. Why don't you guys take your birth charts out from wherever you have them, whether it's on your devices or computer. And then let me pull up my chart here as well. So I'm going to pull up my chart here. And then hopefully your birth chart looks either like the one that's to the left here or the one that's to the right here. So whichever, this is a chart from astro.com. This is a chart from Time Passages. They're both my birth charts. They're exactly the same charts, just that they look a little bit different because they're from different computer programs. Okay, so that hopefully one or the other will resonate. What we want to take a look at with this Mercury retrograde is we want to take a look at where in our chart is it going to impact us, right? And so, of course, Mercury is already in Pisces. It's in about 16 degrees of Pisces right now. And again, you know, just want to make sure you guys know about next month's forum, what we're covering, when it will be. So just take a look at these dates. And of course, that's also going to be in the email as well that I'm going to be sending out to you. But thank you so much for spending these 90 minutes with me. And we're almost on time. This is fantastic. I'm so excited. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for listening. Thanks for engaging. Thanks for all the questions. And it's a pleasure as always. And yeah, so I'll either see you next month or I'll see you in between, you know, depending on what type of membership you guys have. And yeah, have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, night, whatever time it is where you are. Okay? All right. Bye-bye, guys. Have a good one.